Steve-O chooses to play first, deals out his opening hand. And he must win or he loses the match.
There's the erase. Erase is a good start. Mother Runes is a really good start.
Disenchant.
Oh, see?
Archery
He
training,
can deal with all those
Broodlings.
cards.
How many land did he have, Chris?
He had 2 planes.
Did he have 2? 1.
Oh, he had
1 plane.
I'd keep that draw.
You keep 1 planes, erase, disenchant?
I think so.
He only has 5 planes in his deck.
That's a keeper.
It's first turn Mother Runes. Archery training, I guess.
Yeah, you just archery train the Mother Runes and you win. Of course, it gets pendulum fluxed.
Yeah. I'm not so sure
keeper.
I keep that draw. All right. Humpherys has Pendril Flux, Kingfisher, Raven Familiar.
He's drawing 5 straight
A good mix of
swamps
land. Draw Swamp? Swamp.
See? Technology.
Wow. That was the best possible draw there, no doubt about it. Steve breathes a sigh of relief and starts deciding how he's going to play the game.
Archery training the Mother. Maybe.
I don't see why not.
Well, you might want Mother around to do other things later. She can't.
Well, she stays untapped, right?
She can't do it all. Yeah, but if you give something pro-color...
I mean, archery training is such a slow card. Don't you need to start building up counters if it's going to do anything?
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Of course, then it almost certainly gets Pendril Fluxed at that point, right? But he has a race and disenchant, so he needs his land. If he's desperate to get his land back, I agree with that. I think you play the archery training. It has to.
You don't serve?
No, you need to be able to give it protection from whatever protection from blue, so it doesn't get Pendril Flux. Or protection from.
That's like the only card that matters, though, right now. Like, is there another card that it could matter whether or not?
Well, you've got the deck list.
And Pendril Flux doesn't do anything because he just untaps and makes it pro-blue before playing the Echo. Like,
he was worried about...
what could he be worried about?
No clue.
I don't...
Steve drew another land. It was one of his 5 plays.
Did he not put a counter on it? Oh, there it is.
Is it a May or a must? It's a May.
I can't think of a reason. I can't think of a reason to not attack.
I don't know. Steve?
I guess he's just playing it safe, but when you get to the top 4 of the Pro Tourney, you shouldn't be in play it safe mode. You should make the right play.
Sure. Dave draws another land. He has Opal Titan, Raven Familiar. You cast Raven Familiar here, right? Just see what's up?
Well, you don't really want to pay Echo next turn.
Not really. Do you want to just not use your mana at all, though?
There's no way you pay Echo next turn, though, right?
I don't think so. It seems like Opal Titan's a pretty good card to get into play as soon as possible.
Of course, it's going to die to erase or disenchant, but...
Radiant Archangel.
How much mana does he have?
He has plenty.
Radiant's
Radiant's coming out soon.
He can... But the thing is...
I think Radiant can outrate. In Dave's deck, Radiant might...
Archery training just kills it.
Dave plays 11 flyers in his deck.
Just kills it.
He can race it with flyers, I'm telling you. Echo Raven Familiar.
Archery training is going to be so big by the time that attack phase happens.
Dave Humpherys has actually chosen to play 2 Cloud Fairies in his deck just to make Radiant bigger.
I'm sure that's not... They do cycle. They do block
Is
Slinking
he looking
Scourge.
at Snap? Like, he hasn't actually decided what to take yet.
I think he's considering Snap.
He can Snap to deal with archery training? Is that his play? How does that... That doesn't even work. It goes pro-blue as a response.
It is an instant. I mean...
Yeah. Maybe that's the other card Steve-O was worried about. Snap and Pendril Flux. So maybe Steve-O would make the right play.
Maybe.
Sometimes it feels like we deserve to be sitting here instead of there.
I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call.
Yeah. That 1 point of damage is fairly unlikely to make a difference.
I've said that so many times and been wrong now. Can't matter. Can't.
Dave shakes his head and takes. What did he take? I didn't see.
What did he take? That's important. He took... He hasn't chosen yet.
Oh, he still hasn't chosen.
It's a hard decision.
He's not going to take Mental Discipline, right?
Clearly. I'll agree with that he's not
Snap or Radiant. And if you don't take Radiant, Radiant's on the bottom of the deck. Radiant's out of play for the whole game. He has no way to reshuffle his deck.
Does he need Radiant? Is that like so necessary in this match?
You tell me how he's supposed to win without Radiant.
He's got the same problem he's Mr. Flyer. I fly.
Yeah, but they're all like Cloud Fairies. They're all in there to make... Yeah, he has Voice of Grace. I mean, he's won twice already. Opal Titan might be a good enough victory condition, but there's a bunch of...
He took Radiant.
And an Radiant. Yeah, I agree with Radiant.
I think it's a tough call. Does he have enchantment kill? I don't think Dave does.
Your turn.
Steve definitely put a very high priority on enchantment kill.
He has disappear. He has. He echoed, huh?
No. He just finally made his decision.
I'm sorry. It took forever.
You just block here, obviously. Make
Initiate
Steve
two.
tap his swamp. Now Steve might not have any black mana.
Your turn.
Dave has to know that Steve only has the one swamp, because why would he lead plains, swamp, plains? Like, first plains for Mother makes sense, but he would have played another swamp if he had one. Opal Titan comes down, right?
Unless he wants to play the Veiled Serpent.
Like, if Steve's going to fire one up, wouldn't you rather have him fire up the Opal Titan?
Well, the thing is, anything Steve does fires up the Veiled Serpent.
Yeah, but it's going to die to archery training. Steve's like, does this do anything if I disenchant it? No, it just dies.
You need Breach to get past that thing.
Steve has to kill it, right?
If I were Steve, I believe I would disenchant.
I would erase it, I think.
I don't think Dave has any artifacts, does he? Just use all your mana when your mana's is tight, don't you think?
Does he have 0 artifacts? He has a ticking gnomes as his only artifact.
Well, that's a pretty good
So-
artifact.
Yeah, it's a pretty good artifact.
Kills Mother, though. It's going to come out and kill Mother runes. You don't even care. Like,
Are there any perma-enchantments that Steve would need the remove from game ability of the erase for? I don't think so. Slow motion. There is a slow motion in Dave Humphrey's deck unless he sideboarded it out for some reason.
yeah, but he has Mother runes just changes so much.
So he erases. He holds on to the disenchant.
Boom.
Keep alive the ability to kill
Mother
ticking
runes is
gnomes.
really amazing against Humphrey's deck.
Mother of Runes does everything. Mother of Runes with the 3 counter archery training is pretty good.
Tap sheet. 2.
What did Steve draw? Evidently nothing exciting. Another
Plains.
plane.
He only has 5 planes in his deck. Yeah, Steve-O's mana supply is 12 swamp, 5 planes. He's drawn 3 of the 5.
So now Radiant comes out?
Radiant doesn't do a whole lot. No, Radiant only costs 5 mana. It's the same casting cost as Sarah Angel. As long as she's got a friend, she just did Sarah. It's the way she took over the Sanctum, right? Had a bunch of friends, was more powerful than Sarah.
What on earth are you talking about?
Kingfisher comes out that way. Radiant will be Sarah next turn. That Mother of Runes is pretty good, though.
Dave's still only at 18, though. This lack of swamps.
Yeah, Looming Shade's not nearly as threatening right now as it normally is. There's
Swamp.
number 2. Has Steve drawn land 3 of his 4 draw phases this game? I believe he's drawn land on 3 of his 4. Quick update, John Finkel has now taken a game from Darwin Castle. So Antarctica finally wins a game, and Darwin's up 2-1. John's on the comeback trail. Steve-O plays the swamp, attacks with Looming Shade.
That archery training is a monster.
Do you think you should have taken the snap way back when?
The problem is archery training on Mother runes
Your
is
turn.
it's not a combo. He had. You're probably right. He had to do it.
What happens if he takes? If he takes the snap, it doesn't get him out of this.
Well, as soon
He
as
has to feed something to Mother. Mother gets tapped, then he snaps it.
how bad is it to get your Kingfisher archery training though?
So you think he should have taken the snap?
No, I don't know. This
Dave Humphreys
shouldn't
can
be
do
that.
no wrong. Is that what's going on here?
Dave Humphreys can't do that much wrong. Not in my experience.
There's another flyer. Radiant's trying to race archery training, but it's just not working. If she comes out next turn, she'll be
Told you,
5-5.
you have to draw a flyer every turn.
If she comes out next turn, well, Cloud of Fairy, she get 2 out at once.
Oh, nice.
2 of them in his deck. But Radiant will be 5-5, but the archery training has 5 counters on it. And did we decide that Humphreys has no enchantment removal?
Ooh, Sleeper's Guile.
Sleeper's Guile actually going to be good? Disease Carriers isn't bad either. It's a Broodling on the table, right?
Yep.
See the Disease Carriers to the Broodling? Mother of Runes does everything right now. Mother? Dave Humphrys is a Reliquary Monk and a Scour in his sideboard. Those are his only enchantment removal spells.
Do you think you'd play Reliquary Monk against Pestilence?
I would play Reliquary Monk. I don't understand why Reliquary Monk.
Just only cast it if Pestilence is in play, right?
Tap shade.
Looming Shade is starting to get pretty good. It's still no Mother of Runes, but
I like this Sleeper's Guile stuff. It's very nice.
why don't I believe you?
No, I do like it. I've only cast Sleeper's Guile in one match ever, and I beat down Gary Krakauer with it. But my Sleeper's Guile was on large green creatures.
It's interesting how many supposedly bad cards are getting played in this top four. It's nice with only 18 packs to choose from. The decks come out pretty close though. It's hard to get enough cards sometimes.
Yeah, it
when
is.
two good teams draft against each other, you don't get extra cards.
Well, especially, I mean, there's counter drafting. It's not like you just open your packs and make decks out of them.
Sure. But I think that makes for a really interesting format where there's just barely enough cards for you to be able to implement counter drafting strategies and still get enough cards for your deck. So you end up pulling out tech. Like you make people evaluate, all right, is Sleeper's Guile better or Squirming
Oh,
Mass?
boy.
Hello.
Expunge.
So it looks like Steve-O is also on the comeback trail.
6.
After falling behind a quick 5 love.
All about the one planes draw.
Tap. Just take one.
Steve-O casts Disease Carrier. He's ready to feed it to the Broodling at a moment's notice. Archery Training is holding off the entire offense. Veiled Serpent gets cycled. Humphrys draws. Didn't see what he drew. To the surprise of absolutely no one, the match between Rob Dougherty and Dan O'Mahony Swartz is going slowly. They appear to be stalled in game 2. See, there's the Cloud of Fairies. Radiant gets a little bigger. Radiant cannot keep up with Mother of Runes, though. Is that 6 coins on Mother of Runes right now, I think? And Radiant is 6, could be 6/6, but that's not good enough. So cycle.
There's
Ticking Gnomes. Wow. That changes everything.
That was a good draw.
That was a good draw. He's drawing like Darwin was drawing.
The problem is he can only kill Mother Runes or Looming Shade. Like, Looming Shade could just kill him still.
He has a chance to race, though, with all those flyers.
Not really. One of the flyers is dead
To the disease
already.
carriers. Fine. Oh, he has Expunge. Expunge Radiant. But from Humphrys' point of view, it looks like he can race by... Yeah, you take the Mother Runes. I mean, the right play is to take the Mother Runes. Who cares about Looming Shade? Because if you take the Mother Runes, you win the race. You take Mother Runes and you start bashing him in the air for... Well, for...
Fast.
Yeah, you can see the Disease Carrier is going to kill Voice or Kingfisher. So that's 6 power worth of flyers. You can win that race against Looming
Wow,
Shade.
one
against
card
planes.
to kill that Mother Runes and he draws it. He's got to give something
All right.
something here.
Do you feed Mother to the Broodlings, or do you wait and feed Disease Carrier?
I think you...
Well, you give something pro color first, probably. No reason not to.
You give Looming Shade pro blue or pro white. He doesn't have a pacifism.
Big counter rulings.
He just elected not to use Mother for...
Well, he hasn't done anything yet. No, he just...
Well, I mean, once he sacks it, he can't use it.
Well, he had... Oh, Steve's like, oh, I'm not good.
Again, another thing, that subtle mistake that's probably not going to matter.
No,
but
Pendroflux...
Antarctica's made a number of them.
Pendroflux the Looming Shade's really annoying. Saves him a lot of damage. He can't even expunge.
Do you agree with the decision to sack the Mother Runes rather than the Disease Carrier? I mean, he takes 3 damage this turn that he didn't have to take.
No, I don't really agree with that decision.
All right, so now you're Dave Humphrys. How much of this do you attack with? Does Dave need to leave? Oh, Radiance doesn't have to attack. Yeah, he's fine. He attacks with all 3 flyers. So that's 3, 4. That's 5, 6, 7. That's 9 damage. I think I sack Disease Carrier. I think I just let Mother die. I want to get one of those flyers out. That saves 3 damage right now.
I
And it's a
agree.
play you're going to have to spend mana on next turn anyway.
I agree. Now Pendulflux destroys him.
Yeah, meanwhile, yeah, forget that. But even before you look at the Mother Rune's mistake, I don't think I would have sacked the Mother to the Broodlings. I don't think. Is that 1/1 counter that important?
Do you let your Looming Shade die
What do you mean?
if he Pendulfluxes it? You let it die, you expunge Radiant.
He can also disenchant it, by the way. He can disenchant
Oh.
Pendulflux.
That's
Which is
that's
not
risky.
exactly what he planned to disenchant in this matchup.
No, I think he just lets Looming Shade die. He expunges Radiant. He Disease Carriers up, kills one of the flyers, and attacks for 4. That seems perfectly reasonable.
So he's racing 4 against 2, and he's got a head start.
Right. Well, he doesn't really have a head start, does
Oh
he?
yeah, it's 20 to 14 right now. Oh, but he takes 9. You're right. It's 14 to 11. So after the attack, it'll be 11 to 10. Steve-O wins that race. Assuming Dave has...
He doesn't win that
No.
race. Oh, yeah, Steve wins, yeah.
Steve
right.
wins the race. So it seems like Humphrey should just attack with everything, and then Pendulflux Lumen
Humphreys
Shade.
might want to leave back Kingfisher. But
No, he's got Radiant untapped.
9, right?
Does not tap to attack.
oh, there's 2 potential attackers.
One of them has Sleeper's Guile on it.
Look, there's also Disease Carriers.
Yeah.
Like, if Broodling attacks, you can make it 4/4, kill it, and then the Archangel dies to the Broodlings. I'll trade Broodlings for Archangel.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So there are 3 potential attackers.
Pendulflux is the Broodlings. Interesting. Is that a better play than your play?
Do you have to pay Pendulflux before you can use the Broodling's ability?
No. You can put it on the stack under 6E rules,
Right,
and then
so-
use the Broodling's ability higher up the stack. So you're saying that
He might have to
Steve should use the Disease
He
Carriers?
Pendulflux the Broodlings because he doesn't want to leave Steve access to any black mana at all.
Makes sense. Seems like a good play. So does he disenchant Pendulflux? Or use Disease
This
Carriers?
is the
Steve
kind of
doesn't
thing.
know. Steve's got his hand on his head, got the contemplative look in his eye.
If anybody wants to go eat lunch, this is the time.
Steve's chewing on a pen. That's a tough decision.
I think you.
Does the pen help? He's always chewing on a pen. Does the pen have anything to do with it? I mean, it's not the shoes in this sport, right?
You're
It's
at,
the pen.
you're at 11. I think he has to expunge Radiant now.
You think he has to? I think that he needs to kill
I think
Radiant
I
this
think he
turn.
disenchants Pendulflux, expunges Radiant, and attacks for 6.
He has no mana to use to kill his own Disease Carrier unless he top decks one.
Right.
He could
Okay.
top deck one, and if
He only
he
gets attacked
expunges,
back for 4.
yeah, you're right. I agree. If he expunges Radiant, it's only an attack back for 4. That doesn't seem that bad
No.
because Steve's attacking for 6.
Steve attacks for 6.
Yeah.
Correct. And if he draws a swamp, 7.
But all his enchantment removal is gone if you make this play. If you disenchant Pendulflux, you have no enchantment removal
Well-
for the rest of the game.
Oh, and Absolute Grace kills Sleeper's Guile.
Absolute Grace kills Sleeper's Guile, yes. And there's also Rob Black in Humphreys' deck.
I think you have to go for the win.
That's the
Sacrifice Disease Carriers, brutally.
He's not doing it.
Killing it by this reason.
I don't know about this play.
Sure.
he can still expunge Radiant. He still wins this race, too. I like Steve's play.
You like Steve's play?
I like Steve's play.
What do you draw?
Sicken. Because now he can raise Looming Shade against Kingfisher, and that's a race he wins as well.
Sponge Radiant.
Thing is, even if Humphreys drew Absolute Grace,
Mhm.
Steve would have more attackers than Dave would have
Attack
blockers.
two, cheater.
Dave would only have 1 blocker left for 3 attackers.
Sure,
And
sure.
all the attackers, all problem is Disease Carriers dies, it kills one of Steve's creatures. But if he blocks with Looming Shade, if he attacks with Looming Shade and Broodlings, they both live. I mean,
Very conclave. You can't assume that Dave's never going to draw anything, though.
he's pretty low. He would have been at
9.
he would have been at 7. And if he doesn't draw Absolute Grace, you attack for 6 again. Why is he cycling that second?
I don't know. It's not a terrible card. Well, he didn't have any mana last turn.
Oh, that's right. So, I think you probably you should cycle second with 2 planes and then decide what to do, right?
Is he definitely going to cycle it? He's going to probably want to play the Broodlings this turn.
Well, I think you should cycle second, see what he draws,
And then probably play Broodlings.
then probably play Broodlings. But you might just...
What does Humphrys have that dies to Sicken? Anything important?
I don't think so. Oh, Fairy Conclave.
You can't Sicken
I
Fairy
know.
Conclave.
You'd have to come with a tricky situation where that worked.
Yeah. Seems unlikely. The only... Yeah, I don't... Yeah, I think you cycle Sicken here. If you're going to cycle it, you go ahead and do it. That way you have all the information to think about the rest of your play.
Well, definitely.
Looming Shade and Broodlings outrage. Let's see, it's Kingfisher and Fairy Conclave against Looming Shade and Broodlings. Who wins this race? Steve-O is lower on life right now, and if he's going to play the Broodlings, then he's only going to hit Humphrys for 1. That would put Humphrys at 11. Steve-O then gets attacked down to 5. Steve-O can also sicken the Kingfisher. It's not exciting, but like look at this race. He's racing. He's starting out in the hole on life. Humphrys hits him for 5. And Humphrys is 11. Steve-O can attack back for 1, 2, 3, attack back for 5 and put Humphrys at 7. Then he gets knocked down to 1. Or knocked down to 3 with a blocker back. And then he attacks for not 7. Not unless he draws Swamp.
I think my way was better.
Like he's got this disenchant in his hand right now that has no impact on the game.
Right. He played to not lose. I think he did a perfect example of playing to not lose.
Kind of like sickening a Kingfisher so you don't lose the race.
Right.
It's another play to not lose.
Like, he instead of playing this game to win, given what was on the board, he played this game to not lose to Absolute Grace or Rot Black. Now, if Rot Black's this card, then he's right. But
That was a land. Land is not helpful. Humphreys has to raise, right?
it's not hard to race. He wins
Attack for
easily.
3, with Steve-O at 9, the Sicken doesn't even change the clock.
Oh.
If you're at 9 life, a 3 damage a turn and 4 damage a turn, it's the same clock. Meanwhile, he could have cycled Sicken. We'll see what he could have, and he didn't use the mana that he would have cycled with.
I really
he
feel
could
like
have drawn a Plains last turn, which isn't helpful, but then he'd be drawing the current top card now.
I really feel like we've seen some poor play from Team Antarctica.
I've been surprised at some of their plays too.
Like Disenchant the Pendreflux. Can you imagine how much better he would often be if he still had that Broodlings?
Yeah, I mean the Disenchant's having no impact on the game state right now. I mean, if you thought he could win anyway, then it makes sense, but he's not going to win anyway. He hits Humphreys for 1, down to, is that 11 or 9? Play Broodlings. But the Humphreys wins this race.
Oh, this is bad.
What does Steve-O need to top deck?
I don't even know if there is anything. There
He
probably
did not
is.
have
This
a
deck's pretty
corrupt.
good.
Pestilence doesn't help.
Ravenous Scourge can block.
Humphreys draws another land. Dave's actually had a fairly unfortunate draw. He's drawn
Phyrexian
land.
Debaser can block. Unearth. Does that get him anything that can block?
I don't think so.
He has 3 Slinking Scourges. He has 3 Slinking Scourges. He has Twisted Experiment, which would now kill Kingfisher.
Helps a little.
Well, he could make Looming Shade Giant, make it a 2/2, then make it a 5.
5, 6, 7.
Or Broodlings.
Dave Humphreys' life total is not 12, right?
Life total, Humphreys 9.
Humphreys is at 9 right now. It's 9 to 9.
6.
Or it's
Humphrys 9,
nine to
Steve
6.
6.
Right.
There are a
Humphrys
number
at 9, Steve
of
6.
number of cards Steve can top deck.
So it's Twisted Experiment enough? 5, 6, 7, no, not
He
quite.
kills Kingfisher though.
Yeah, but he can't go offensive with it, that's what I mean.
Right.
Going offensive on the Looming Shade doesn't help. Dave's trying to decide whether to attack with Kingfisher. I think he attacks, right? Steve's at 6.
Yeah, he attacks.
Put him at 3. You don't lose to what's on the board. And you have 4.
If he
and
doesn't attack, he's just doing the same mistake Steve made.
playing not to lose.
Playing not to lose.
I don't see the advantage of leaving back the Kingfisher. All you're going to do is chump Broodlings, and you give Steve another turn.
Doesn't do anything.
There you go. Attack for 3, knock Steve to 3.
So it's all about this top
It's
card.
all about this card.
Let's see something busty.
A card he could have had last turn if he'd cycled that second.
Unbelievable. Make sure, Justin, if
We want to know the
Justin,
top
your
card.
top card is being told to us if he draws something and dies. Twisted Experiment. So now he kills Kingfisher, attacks for 4.
Gets attacked for 2, and then cracks back and wins. In theory. So
Dave gets a card from Kingfisher and his draw phase.
And Dave will leave Fairy Conclave back rather than attack for 2. But the point is he had to draw a way to get a point of damage off the board, and he did. That's not. He got 3 for 1 by that Kingfisher, though. That's ugly. He uses up a Sicken and a Twisted Experiment, and Humphrys gets to draw a card when it dies. It's not good. But that's what you have to do here. I mean, there's
no other play.
There's
That's
no other
certainly
play.
True. It's possible.
I guess you would take. I mean,
you're
you
right.
attack
It's
first.
possible he wins because he didn't cycle that. That's the scary thing. Well, that's not really true either. Because if he because yeah, it is. I guess it's possible.
Now, all
that
right, why is he going to twist before the attack phase? Why give Humphrys this card before the attack phase?
That's true.
He's going to twist before. There's no reason to twist before the attack phase.
Turnabout your lands. Oh no!
Why do you let Humphrys draw this card before the attack phase?
It makes no sense. I agree. What does Humphrys draw? Snap. Snap. Let's see it.
Intervene. Those cards came out in the wrong order for Humphrys' point of view.
How Snap would have been the biggest beating of all time.
Yeah. Attack for 4. Knocks Humphrys to 5. That's enough damage that Steve-O could win next turn if Dave doesn't block. Because Looming Shade could hit for 3, Broodlings would hit for 2.
It's impossible for Dave to not block his intervene in this hand.
Right. So, but Humphrys will be forced to leave back the Fairy Conclave unless this card changes the board somehow.
So it is possible that Steve won because he cycled. Because he didn't cycle. What does that say? Was the sick in the right play or the wrong play?
I don't know. We still don't know what the top card is.
Like, he would have died. It's possible he would have died if he cycled the Sicken. Because he wouldn't have been able to ever kill the Kingfisher. But I still don't think it's the right play.
Yeah, you're right. Steve-O would be at 1 right now.
My whole game would be different, though. I'd disenchant that Pendroflux.
Yep. Mostly Steve-O's winning because Humphrys drew land, intervene, land. Humphrys was drawing very well earlier, though. He was drawing exactly what he wanted earlier.
Steve was very happy to hear done.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you draw?
Draw.
Land.
Land.
Declare deck. Deck.
Now he blocks the Broodling.
He has to. Do you just trade there?
Sure.
That's all that can be done in this trade.
Yeah. Flop Blooming Shade, put you at 1.
Make my shade 2/2. Make my shade 3/3. 5 life, right?
Now Steve, if he doesn't pump to put him to 1, is making a mistake.
No other effects.
Because if Dave blocks some way to draw some way to deal with Looming Shade, Steve could still kill him by drawing Pestilence next turn.
He's worried about Dave's ability to deal
Your turn.
1 point of damage. Dave, how can Humphrys deal a point of damage?
He can. And now if Dave draws a way to deal with Looming Shade, and Steve draws Pestilence, he can't kill him. But Dave draws nothing.
Land, intervene, land. And the intervene was in the wrong order.
So do you think he played right or wrong, Steve, this game? And there's a lot of judgment calls that are hard.
There are a lot of judgment calls.